So you guys wanted a detailed explanation of what the clutch actually does. Now this is something I would go through with all of my students on their first lesson so that they understand the mechanics behind it all. If the car stalls or it behaves a certain way, they know exactly why it's doing that. Even though they might be messing up, they know exactly how to fix it for next time. Let's talk about the clutch. The clutch consists of two rotating plates, which are known as the clutch plates. Every time the clutch goes down, you're pulling these clutch plates apart. Your foot's having to stay down to keep them there. And this is why the clutch can sometimes feel a bit heavy. And as soon as your foot comes up a little bit, these two plates, they naturally want to be here. They want to be connected, okay? Now, the clutch plates, both of them are connected to two different things. One of them is connected to the engine itself. Let's say my right hand is connected to the engine. The other one is connected to the driving wheels, which might be front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, or 4x4. Let's just say it's a front wheel drive. It's connected to the front tires. What you're doing there is you're disconnecting the engine from the front tires. Let's say you've switched on the engine. You've put the clutch down, you've now gone into first gear. Initially there is no motion, but as soon as you go into first gear, the engine plate now starts to spin, and this is spinning at roughly 5 miles per hour. But you can't see this because it's in the engine. So what you're going to do now is you're going to bring the clutch up slowly, and these two plates are going to start to come together. The point that they first come into contact with one another is called the biting point. At this point, three things happen at the exact same time. Firstly, you're going to feel a slight vibration under your foot. Because of that friction, you feel that vibration through your leg. So you've got that vibration, which is the first thing. The second thing is the car will start to sound different. So listen to the engine. You will know that you're at the biting point. And thirdly, the car will start to tug a little bit. You can feel, oh, the car wants to move. You can feel the biting point in the actual car itself. Now, in terms of petrol diesel engines, they behave slightly differently, but let's just talk about a modern car where most modern cars, they tend to auto rev. So when you get to this point, even if you just bring the clutch up a little bit without accelerating, the car will start to move. If you are in an older car, you need to make sure you are accelerating at about 1.5 and then hold the clutch steady. So what's happening at this point is the engine plate is trying to spin the driving wheels, the front tires in your car. And because the weight of your car is all on the tires, the car doesn't just move off smooth like that. It needs a few seconds to kind of pick up that rotation. So that's how you successfully move off in first gear. But if you get to the biting point and you let go of the clutch, these two plates, they come crashing in together, the engine cuts off, and that's what you would call a stall. If you find yourself stalling in your car, it just means that you're releasing the clutch too fast at the biting point and the tires haven't picked up that rotation just yet. So just be really gentle and really feel and even look at your speed when you're moving off as a new driver, because it will make it a lot easier to actually get that movement going. Even if you move off a bit slower, just focus on moving off successfully, that's all. Now, once you're in first gear and you're driving along, any fuel you give the car is going to make the engine plate go faster, and because it's connected to the tires, it'll make the tires go faster. So you're just going to keep picking up speed, front tires pull your car, you're driving along. Now, you would not want to continue driving in first gear because you're having to use loads of fuel to keep going at that speed. Now, this is where I would compare riding a bicycle with gears to driving a car. When you're riding a bicycle with gears, you start off in a lower gear, you get that movement of actually getting going. Once you get going, you wouldn't stay in a lower gear because you're having to pedal loads, but you're not going very fast on the road. Whereas if you switch into a higher gear, the resistance goes up, you have to pedal a little bit harder, but once you get that movement going, you're traveling a lot further along the road without having to pedal very much. That's exactly what we're having to do in the car, but we're working through the gears instead. So once your car is in motion and you're in first gear, the optimum time to change gears is around 10 to 12 miles per hour. Every car is slightly different, so just listen to the engine and look at the revs. Anything above 2,000 revs, you want to change gears, and then the revs drop back down. Let's say you're driving along 10, 12 miles per hour and you want to do a gear change. This is what's happening in the engine. Clutch plate and engine plate are connected both at 10 miles per hour, 10, 12. As soon as you put the clutch down, you disconnect the two and they keep spinning. The tires will continue spinning at 10, 12. This may vary slightly depending on the gradient of the road. So it might speed up if you're going downhill. It will slow down if you're going uphill. So try and aim to do this on flat surface, nice straight road whenever you're doing it as a new driver. The engine plate, however, will always go back to the minimum of the gear you were in. So even though this was moving at 10-12, because you're in first gear and you've disconnected these two plates, it's gone back down to 5 miles per hour. But you no longer want to be in first gear. You quickly do that gear change and you go into second. Once you're in second, the minimum rotation on the engine plate has now gone up to about 10 miles per hour. So now these two plates, they're both moving in the same direction, same speed, roughly. When you bring them together, it's quite easy to put them together now because you're already in motion, so you're not really going to have a hard time going into second gear. So now that you're in motion in second gear, you're going 10-12 miles per hour. Any fuel you give the car will make the engine plate go faster, and because it's connected to the tires, it will make your tires go faster, and then you keep speeding up to 20 miles per hour. And anything above 20, you want to now change into third gear. Same thing again. Step off the accelerator, clutch goes down, go into third gear. The rotation on the engine plate is now around 15 miles per hour. Yes, it's slower than your tires this time, but what happens is the engine plate latches on and picks up the rotation of whatever the tires are doing. So it's a lot easier to go into higher gears, even though the engine plate is slightly slower and the tires are faster, because the engine picks up that rotation, but it doesn't work as well the other way around. So you're generally going to have a hard time when you're in first gear, maybe in second, but anything after that, as long as your speed matches the engine itself, as long as your speed matches the gear that you're going into, you're not going to have a hard time. Okay, so let's summarize the clutch. As a new driver, anytime you want to move off, you put the clutch down, you go into first gear, you get your feet ready, you get to the biting point. The biting point can be at different points on the clutch itself. In a new car, it's usually quite low on the clutch. In an old car, it's going to be quite high because those clutch plates, over time, they wear down if you keep staying at the biting point. So instead of them being really thick and coming together straight away, they're really thin, so it just takes longer for them to actually come into contact with one another. I wouldn't worry too much about the biting point because it is muscle memory. So once you roughly know where it is in your car, try and get near that point and then find the biting point. So let's say your biting point is right in the middle of the clutch. Go from the bottom, go near the middle and then find the biting point, and there it is. If your biting point is quite high, you know you can go right near the top and then find the biting point. Whereas if you know you've got a new car and the biting point is quite low, as soon as you go from the bottom, you're going to feel it straight away. But it is muscle memory, so don't worry about that. So I hope today's video has been useful. If you have any more questions on anything else you don't understand, let me know, and I hope you have found this video to be useful.